Um, Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to everyone who's made this possible. Um, the work is never done alone, at least my work is never done by myself. So, truly, thank you so much. Muchas gracias. The chat window is there. So you should open it because we're gonna be pasting translations there from Spanish to English. But the chat window is also there for you to react and comment or even complain or ask questions. But also you can even use it to just say hi, say hi, say hi to everybody, or just say hi to maybe your friends that might be here. I know there's a lot of my friends here tonight, and I feel sad because we haven't seen each other in person in a very long time. So part of this performance is, being able to be together and just share this space and be together tonight. Okay, we are all automatically muted, so for sound quality purposes, and we're also being recorded. I am in New Mexico, north of Abiquiu Lake, near the Chama River. It's very beautiful here, but the internet is not the best in the world. So there might be a lag in the video, or if you see me pixelated or frozen, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And just to assure you, I am here. This is real time, real life. And so I hope you get to see me, or if not, at least hear me, feel me, read me, touch me. It's 6:30 p.m. or almost, but it's also 4:30, it's 3:30, it's 7:30, it's past midnight where my sister is at, where my brother is at. So it's August 7th and it's also August 8th. All of these things are true. So as we move through different time zones and territories, we're also moving through different languages. And for that, I need to say, saludos a todos los que me conocen, a mis amigos y mi familia de Chile, de Argentina y todos los castellanos y spanglishes. Quiero que sepan que aunque hablo en inglés, no lo hago sin cuestionármelo. I have short black hair with a little bit of white. I have small, shiny, dark brown eyes and eyelashes. I have narrow shoulders and I'm wearing a black shirt with purple squares. Behind me, an adobe wall. We've been in this room for 3 months, just Rachel and I. They are behind the camera now, and we prepared this for you. I am a little bit nervous because this format feels sometimes like I'm in a fishbowl, and I'm also really good working a crowd when the crowd is there. But I'm gonna do my best. I'm just so happy to be here. The performance started already, by the way. Just if this is not the introduction, we are already in the work. Just if you're confused, it has started. Anyways, I was super excited to see my name in Whitney Museum font for the first time in my life. It was almost even better than actually being inside a museum because I have just so many social anxiety memories in all of these art events. And I was thinking that it was only a year ago that we were following the fight against Whitney board member Kanders due to his involvement with tear gas manufacturing companies, and he resigned. But here we are again in a new and maybe much more urgent period. I was just thinking about maybe the world needs to dissolve. I mean, not the entire world. Maybe the art world needs to dissolve or evolve into our bedrooms and the streets. Whose streets? Not mine. The streets are not mine. I come from a mix of like land stealers and also displaced and exiled people. So there's no land in this world that really bears my name. And just listen to me speaking to you with this accent in this language I learned at some point just to feel closer to this fraught country. We wore masks and protective eyewear at the protests in Santiago for tear gas and rubber bullets. And then I came back to the US in March and I had all these masks with me. The mask has been traveling around and shifting purposes from protests there to COVID protection to protests here. Never did the mask anticipate its historical relevance would be such. I am now standing in front of a wall of posters. My friend Poca runs a small riso press in Santiago called La Mano Ediciones. And during the uprising there, they were printing at high speed, collaborating with many artists, all these posters, to cover the streets with messages and images. This action runs parallel to the events of the actual uprising. It is urgent to let the people know what's going on, especially when newspapers and the press and the media are not reporting what goes on. But these posters are not just social devices. They are also intimate artifacts. This here is not an exhibition or an archive. These posters are a gift. And so these pieces of paper, I decide to save them because they have a question for me. And the question is this just a memory of the moment in which it was urgent to make it? Or does this represent a cause that I feel linked to, that interests me? But more than anything, the question to me is, for example, have I done anything for the liberation of privatized water in Chile beyond just hanging this poster here? At the protests, La Primera Línea, or the first line, it's a group of people that are in direct combat with the police, and their objective is to keep the cops away from the square so the square can remain occupied for a longer period and people can actually enact the protest. And I was thinking that this had some relation to the idea of healthcare first responders or primeros auxilios. What I see this year is a need for actual bodies to act as shields to some type of threat. I don't want to compare the state, the police, the military to the virus. That's not what I'm saying. What I do want to say is that there is a threat and there's a need for actual bodies to help us contain that threat. What I'm saying is that even in this event, in this digital format, there's a need for an actual presence that we show up with this like instinct of care for each other so we can survive collectively to this moment and the many other moments that are coming. What I'm saying is that self-care alone is just not going to keep my neighbor alive. Somos rocas, somos rocas, están dormidas, duras y estables. Tómame en tu mano, te daré protección. Llévame en el bolsillo, soy tu talismán, soy tu talismán. Somos rocas, somos rocas, estamos dormidas, profundas y erráticas. Llévame en tu mano, te daré protección. Tómame en tu bolsillo, soy tu talismán, soy tu talismán, soy tu talismán, soy tu talismán. I was dancing and singing at the same time. I am lying on the bed. I have been on this bed more than anywhere else in the room. We drove from California to the desert. The award, the promise, was this adobe bunker to protect us from the world in coronavirus. But then we got here, and this place is in quite high altitude, so my oxygen levels went down, down, down. Even just going to the bathroom, that's right there, made me breathless. It was just so hard to breathe here. And I really love my lungs. I do. In fact, I'm gonna dedicate this performance to my lungs because they really carry me through the impossible. Even when the government, the CDC, my health insurance, my employer, all of them want me to feel like a burden by calling me high risk. I don't know, did you also leave the city during the pandemic? Because I was thinking that there's no point in going anywhere if I still have to be inside my body. So that's, I don't know, it continues this trial and error of safety and healthy, when in reality, in truth, in theory, being in a body like this and being in a body like yours, there's an arch, the abundance within what's not possible, within what's not a choice. And then when we do have a choice, for example, I left the house to meet my friend and I hugged her, and I should have not done that because I have no idea if she's followed any protocols, and I was too shy to ask. So I got to get better at that. When I call this work El Estallido, the outbreak, what exactly do you think this performance is about? I'm off screen. We see some rocks coming off a sack and cinder blocks by a shelf. The camera is not moving. An ocean of barricades was the landscape over which my mother drove me home from school in 1983. Somehow, those fires were never scary. I knew the barricade was on the right side of history. I tried to write something for today that would speak about now. But how can I speak about Chile? Like what? Send you a postcard of myself with a face mask in Plaza Dignidad? But we have reproductions of this uprising, like photocopies. The barricade of 1983 is now the daily barricade everywhere. A scroll down of fire on Instagram, all this fire, and we felt so happy with the fire, but why? I'm feeling conflicted about co-opting the political content of this moment. I do want to say that it's okay to ask ourselves, like, what is going on? To make us feel disoriented is a strategy they have. And I don't want to be confused toward inaction or my own victimization to be galvanized. But it happens because the question is not how does it feel to be good in a bad world? More like, how does it feel to be bad and pretend not to know it? Or what is it like to do a nice thing just to erase our complicity? I'm coming on the frame now. I'm resting my arm on the cinder block. Con el miedo de copiloto, voy de un estado a otro, a un destino inesperado sin elección. Trae paisajes donde ya no soy, pero soy. Se huele, se percibe, activa instintos fugitivos de protección primaria. Pelear o escapar, o congelarme o transformar mi terror en maneras de agradar. Listen, I want to be so awake to this moment. All I'm doing is having private thoughts in public. This performance admits the failure of any ideal circumstances for making and living. We are rotating around our room. It doesn't matter if I don't remember it later, because I'm here now. No importa nada si no lo recuerdo más tarde. Estoy aquí ahora. It doesn't matter if I don't remember it later, because I'm here now. This has been a time of death, more death, accumulation of it, COVID related or not. Rituals of death postponed, cancelled, reduced. I want to finish with a tribute. Quiero terminar con un homenaje. Rosario Blefari was an Argentinian woman, 54 years old, a musician, a writer, an actor who influenced me and my friends and many other people at both sides of Los Andes. And she died exactly a month ago, yesterday, on July 6th. My friends and I listened to her obsessively. We sang the songs like Little Angry Birds and hopeful and sad and happy and loud. It was the late 90s or early 2000s, and we wanted a type of rebellion that wasn't so political. Like my friend Panchi says, el pop es lo más inmoral que hay. Pop is the most immoral thing. But no, really, look at our lives, how ridiculous it all is. We must be able to laugh at ourselves while at the same time taking all of our delusions seriously. Rosario redeemed that kind of celebration of making in the periphery. Estar cerca de nosotros mismos con lo que hacemos. She used words as objects, like placing two unrelated things next to each other, like we are doing now when we were thinking about the camera movements and how this part was going to happen in the kitchen and I was going to be sitting on a chair. On the months prior to her death, she was publishing this monthly column, a type of diary. And the last entry of that diary was called Domingo, Sunday. And I read it over and over, and then I memorized it. And one day I was by the river here, and I just started singing out loud. So I made this song that's not about Rosario, but it's written by her, but it's sung by me without her permission. I know it's been a bit of a hard time for many of us, maybe for all of us. It's been a time for death and grief and loss. So this is also a song for you, for all of us. Hoy vamos a encender el horno de barro y terminar de plantar las flores que faltan. Por la tarde mis primos me van a traer el super bombo, super bombo. En este momento entra el sol en la casa y promete un más. Vamos por un día más. In this exact moment, the sun enters the house and he promises one more day. Let's go for just one more day. Thank you, everybody. I'm sad we cannot see each other in person. There will be a little gathering, online gathering after the performance. If you have a minute to just stay so I can see that you're here. I also want to thank Rachel for all their help, and thank you.